Everyone's in their car today. Hi, Mr. Wonder Boy. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Getting errands ran today, man. Headed out tomorrow for Nashville to get some media in. So trying to get things done.
Well, I appreciate your time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. When this fight was announced, I liked it because it is unusual and there are some risks involved. But let's talk about some of the things that made people scratch their heads a little bit. If you get a win in the UFC is always significant. It doesn't matter if you're at the top of the division or the bottom. So I'm not talking about that. What I am going to ask is, besides that, what do you get out of beating Anthony Pettis at 170 pounds?
That's a good question. That's something that I sat down and talked with my coaches about to see if we wanted to take this fight in the first place. Because, beating the former 145 champ, of course, he moved to 155. Now wants to fight at 170. What does that do for my career? Well, Anthony Pettis has a name, and at this point in time, I was out. I've been out for almost 7 months. I had a knee injury after the Till fight, and just one fight after the next that we were trying to shoot for, it just didn't happen. I tried to fight Lawler, RDA, Ponzinibbio, and things just weren't happening. So, to be honest with you, I was just ready to take anything that came my way. I was actually headed to Denver on a snowboarding trip, and I took my phone off of plane mode, and my phone was blowing up. That's how I got the word that he was calling me out. So I was like, you know what, I'll take anything. And I'm not gonna. This is not a fight that I'm gonna take lightly. He does have some very good striking. He's got a knockout reel. So, but I welcome him to open arms to 170.
So here's what I was thinking about. Tell me if I'm wrong. What I thought was, it's obvious what he gets. If he beats you, he beats what? Top 5 guy in the division. I think you were ranked 4 last. It jumps him right to the front of the queue. Plus, he'd have a win in a third weight class. All that stuff. So that part I get. For you, though, you mentioned he does have a name, and he is coming up to 170. You are a natural 170 pounder. You are taller. You fit into the body type that works well in that weight class much more effortlessly. So for you, it's a more manageable fight. True or false?
I would say true. I would say true. I mean, yeah, he is coming up to my weight. He doesn't have to cut the weight. I guess that could be a positive maybe. But, I'm not a big welterweight. I'm not a massive welterweight like Tyron. I don't have to cut a crazy amount of weight. 15 pounds is 15 pounds, but, you hear guys cutting 25, 30 pounds before a fight. And so I'm not drained the next day. You've never seen me step out there after a weight cut and just, except for once when I fought Matt Brown. I was walking around at 215. So, but I'm not a big welterweight, so it's going to be easy for me.
Uh, you said that other welterweights were saying no to opportunities with you.
Well, I tried to get the law. I was pushing Lawler really hard. I was pushing it. The UFC was saying that it may or may not happen. Lawler was saying it was going to happen. And then I was in New York helping Chris Weidman get prep for his fight against Jacare Souza. And then they announced that he was fighting Askren. So I'm like, all right. So I tried to fight RDA. He said he was having surgery. Leon Edwards, he said his sciatica was acting up. And then Ponzinibbio, he just said no. So it just wasn't working out for me. So I was just willing to take anything, to be honest with you.
So for you, it's more important to stay busy than it is to wait for the right opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps you in the limelight. You see this with fighters all the time. If you're not staying active, you're kind of put on the shelf a little bit. And I'm still going for that title. I'm not giving up on it. And I think with some wins, no matter who it is, it's going to keep me where I'm at, or hopefully will put that in the put me with a good win over Pettis in the UFC's mind. To, hey, let's push this guy up a little bit. Let's get him a fight with another top 5 guy. There's a lot of guys right now who I'd like to fight, but they have fights coming up. But so it just wasn't working out for me in the 170. The past few months. So I was keeping my fingers crossed, and next thing you know, Anthony Pettis was calling me out. So I was like, sure, let's do it. And I think he thinks he's got my number. I fought Tyron twice. He's got the same coach, Coach Rufus, and Rufus thinks he's got my number. So I'm here to prove him wrong.
So you believe that Rufus thinks he has your number?
No. I mean, he says that. Yeah, he comes from a karate background, Anthony Pettis comes from a Taekwondo background, but, you know, I don't, Tyron's a different fighter. And still, he didn't have an answer for me. He hit me in the fourth round with a right hand. He actually hit me with it twice, but I think it was more on my fault, rushing it with my hands down than anything. Um, he still was kind of confused. He still really didn't have an answer. And it was still a very close fight, both of them. We got the draw the first fight. The second fight was controversial. So I don't think he's got my number. My style is very hard to bring in fighters for and to prepare for. So, I think it's going to be an exciting fight. Anthony Pettis he's got some really good striking come from his background, his Taekwondo background. So I think it's going to be fun.
Now, when folks zoom out, they take the macro perspective. They say, "Oh, Anthony Pettis, good striker. Wonderboy Thompson, good striker." But you're very different kinds of strikers. You kind of alluded to it, but in concrete terms, our audience can understand. Why are you different strikers?
Well, I think the way, um, I'm more of a mover, I think, more of an angler. Whenever I fight, whenever you see me fight, I work a lot off of angles, using my kicks a lot. I think I throw more variety of kicks than Pettis does. Yeah, he's got some crazy kicks, man, off the cage. Was it they call it the Pettis kick now that he did in WEC?
Showtime.
But I don't know. Yeah, the Showtime kick. That's right, the Showtime kick. But I don't know, man. That's a good question. Like it's kind of it's very difficult to break down, because we have some similarities, we have some differences as well. I think he's more well rounded. Like he's submitted some really good high level grapplers in the past. I mean, his last fight at I think it was 155. He submitted Chiesa, which I thought was going to go the other way around. Um, yeah, he submitted him and was doing work. And now Chiesa's moved up to 170, defeated Carlos Condit. So I think that's another reason why he thinks he's going to do well in the 170 division, because you got a lot of 155ers moving up. Of course, Cowboy Cerrone's has done well in my division. He's moved back down, but yeah, man, I always think I'm the better striker. I'm definitely the better striker than Pettis. So I've got the reach on him. I'm faster than him, and I'm coming with more power.
And fair to say, you have just a more unique style. Now, Anthony Pettis has a very unique style and takes some risks, but is generally, I would say, this is going to sound crazy, but you're right. In terms of that moving thing you do, that is much more rare, even with that creativity that Anthony Pettis does. So it's fair to say he's probably not fought a lot of movers like you. And again, I'm not saying you fought, Pettis's clone. That's not what I'm saying, but someone a little bit more in that tradition.
Yeah, I agree. And but you are starting to see more of that style in coming up in the UFC. I mean, Gunnar Nelson, he comes from a karate background. Conor McGregor, when he fought Jose Aldo, his movement, man, was on point, and he uses that movement to really lure his partner in and his opponent in. That's why he ended up landing that left hand. and I fight the same way. Anderson Silva's been known to fight that way as well. And now you're seeing Israel Adonis doing the same thing. So you're starting to see, and one of the best, MVP, Michael Page Venom, freaking amazing. So you're starting to see more and more of it. But a lot of these guys have been doing this for years. They've been doing this for a very long time. So it's hard for just some Joe Blow to pick it up and be able to do it out there in the octagon, in 6 weeks or whatever. So, but you are seeing more and more of that style.
What do you make of the welterweight division today? You noted, part of the reason you're in this position is because these guys are kind of standing pat at the top. Let's start there. You've got Wonderboy taking on Kamaru Usman. Forget the whole Coby Covington angle for just a second. You fought Tyron Woodley for a long time, 10 rounds, man. What do you make of Usman's chances there?
I think Usman is a grinder, man. I think for him to win, he's going to have to go out there and tire him out. Just lay on Tyron. But it's very difficult because he's a D1 wrestler. Tyron is a very explosive, very strong, athletic human being, and he's got great striking. I mean, he knocked down Darren Till in the second round with a right hand. He knocked me down three times in both of our fights. I think Usman is has got a gas tank. I know that guy doesn't get tired. Tyron is notorious for that, especially when he's fighting somebody who just is relentless. Um, and that's how Usman's going to be. I think that will be his game plan. But that said, Usman does slow down. Like, he doesn't stop, but his striking slows down tremendously. When you saw him fight RDA, he was throwing his punches, but he was dropping them like crazy. And Tyron will take full advantage of that. So, oh man, I hate predicting fights, but I think for my career, it would be better if Usman won. I think it would be better if Usman won, and the fact that it gives me a better chance to fight for the title faster.
Right,
You
'cause
know,
it'd be a fresh matchup because you've already fought Tyron twice. If there's a new king at the top, it gives you more reason to be seen against him.
exactly, 100%. And if Tyron wins, man, I'll have to work my way back up. Like, several more. I have to fight, more fights than I would if Usman got the title. And it is, man. And right now it's kind of crazy because you got Coby Covington, which is understandable, waiting for the title, waiting to fight for the title. I don't think he's going to face anybody. I know they tried to get him to fight Darren Till in London, and it'd be dumb for him to take that fight, to be honest with you, especially in London, But Masvidal, I think, took that fight, right? Is it Masvidal?
Yeah.
Yeah, Masvidal. That's going to be a good one. But yeah, we kind of had a stalemate there for a little while. It wasn't really sure who's going to be fighting for the title next, and then you hear there was going to be an interim title. So it's like, what the heck is going on? For this division to be so stacked, it shouldn't be at a stalemate like it was for so long.
What did you make of, by the way, Darren Till and you guys had a very I mean, I know, it was very close, your fight with him, and then he goes and fights Woodley and gets the doors blown off. I mean, I still think he's a very talented fighter. I think he's got a bright future, but you went 10 rounds with him. Is it just a styles make fights kind of thing? What happened there?
Yeah, I think so, and I think maybe the weight cut had something to do with it. Um, he doesn't cut weight very well, Darren Till. He looks like he's about to die whenever he does. He made weight. He told everybody what he was going to do, but he performed a whole lot differently when he fought Tyron than when he fought me. Of course, he didn't make weight when he fought me, um, and there was a lot, in that first round when I fought Darren Till, that side kick to the knee definitely slowed me down. I ended up tearing my MCL in the first round, and from then on, I was kind of playing like, you know, my knee felt very unstable, so I wasn't taking very many risks during that fight. Um, but hey, it goes to show, you know, what type of fighter Darren Till is. I mean, not Darren, Tyron Woodley is. He's a beast, man. He's a beast. He was a champion at Strikeforce, right, for a while,
Yeah.
and then come to the UFC and just doing work and fight some high level grapplers, high level strikers, and winning. You know, um, beast. I think, man, I think he's going to beat Usman. I hope Usman wins, but I think he's got it. I think Tyron's got it.
No, the interesting part about this is what I was asking, like, what do you get out of a win? I think you're right. You get to stay active. If the fight's exciting, people will want to, like, they look at you differently again. But then you got this weird Ben Askren fight with Robbie Lawler, right? Because the winner there could get a title shot, but only if it's Robbie.
Yep.
If Tyron wins, or if Usman wins, I guess it could be either. What I'm wondering is, where do you fit into this whole thing? Is you Pettis and then of course Askren and Lawler? Like, where are you in that mix?
You know what? That's a good question, man. I mean, if Tyron wins, I don't think Askren would fight his buddy. You know, I know he's pushing to fight. What I've seen on social media to go, for them to make that 165 division. So he may want to cut to that. But if Usman wins, the winner of the Robbie and Askren may get that title shot, which means I'll have to fight maybe one more time, which I don't mind. I'll be 36 in a few weeks, but I'm a young 36-year-old. I haven't taken a whole lot of damage. Um, we train here at our school, very intelligently, so that way we're not beating each other up all the time. So I've got some time. I've got some time. I've got a small window to kind of do what I want to do, and I just want to take every advantage of it. So, man, it's very difficult to really put me in that mix because where do I fit in? I mean, I may have to fight if it really depends on who wins. To be honest with you, who wins the Tyron Usman fight and who wins the Askren and Robbie fight? I think it all depends on who wins there.
All right, let me ask you about something a little bit differently. There's two middleweight fights that are happening this weekend. One with a gentleman you defeated in Robert Whittaker. How do you think he does against another former welterweight in Kelvin Gastelum? What do you make of that matchup?
Man, that's going to be a great fight, man. I'm so looking forward to it. I'll actually be in Florida in an appearance for that fight. And Robert Whittaker is definitely a different fighter from when I fought him last. His takedown defense is ridiculous, ridiculous, and his cardio is out there. Like the guy does not get tired. But Kelvin Gastelum is the exact same. He's got very good hands. Gastelum does. He's got great wrestling. But I think Robert Whittaker is going to come out with the win. He's got a longer reach. I think his movement and striking, his combinations are put together well, better than Kelvin Gastelum. And if Kelvin Gastelum gets overwhelmed with the striking, he's not going to be able to take Whittaker down. I don't think. And Whittaker he's huge. I remember standing in front of him, facing off with him at 170. I mean, big barrel chest.
Yeah.
I mean, big arms, big shoulders. And I saw him not too long ago, and he's massive. He's massive. He's not a big 185er, but he's just solid, which is great. I'm taking Whittaker on this one.
And then Israel Adesanya, one of the most exciting talents in the sport. You were just talking about him a second ago, taking on Anderson Silva. This has been a sort of a point of debate, I think, on this show and other ones. It's like, of course, everybody has respect for Anderson Silva, truly one of the greats of the game. But the question is sort of what he has left at this point. Adesanya is still in his 20s and just running through people. What do you make of this matchup? How competitive in the end do you think it will be?
You know what? To be honest with you, I don't think it will be. I mean, from watching Anderson Silva's last few fights, he just looked he wasn't the same. I think whenever he broke his leg, when he fought his shin, when he fought Weidman, took a lot out of him. I mean, he was out for a very long time. And he just doesn't, I don't know. I don't know if he doesn't have that drive or that timing like he used to have. He just felt very, very slow and just didn't have that timing like he used to. I've spent some time with Anderson Silva and Lyoto Machida when they were training at Black House in California. This is before I was in the UFC. I was looking for a management, and my brother-in-law, Carlos Machado, knew the guys over there at Black House. So I spent a few weeks up there training with Anderson, and which was a dream come true for me. Meeting coming from a karate and kickboxing background, Anderson Silva was like my idol, and Lyoto Machida, especially with his karate background. And from sparring with him and seeing him then, and to see him his last few fights with Bisping, and I forgot who else it was, there's a difference. There is a big difference. I think Israel's going to go out there and school him. I mean, it would be cool. I think it would be very cool to see Anderson, him being the veteran, go out there and just finish him. That would definitely put a smile on my face, but I don't see it happening.
Well, I know what I am going to see happen. I'm going to see you fight Anthony Pettis. This will be March 23rd at the Bridgestone Arena. Main event for UFC on ESPN Plus 6, which is a weird name, but UFC Fight Night 148. Yeah. I can't wait to see it. It's a really weird and interesting fight, but it's got my attention, and I look forward to seeing the result. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for your time.
Anytime, my brother. Definitely a pleasure. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.